Yo, what's up, guys? You're watching Mike and Anthony, and today we're here with another one of Anthony's stories.
What?
It's when he got his stepmom pregnant.
Not blood related. And where's my lawyer? Over here, chief.
What? Yeah, we're gonna take a look at it.
Okay, I plead the fifth.
You're not in court, Anthony. No one's questioning you.
This fool? Yeah, I don't know.
What the? So today we're gonna look at some dude that got his stepmom pregnant.
Yeah, it was my stepmom.
My dad's a total jerk, and not even good looking. So how come he was able to marry Lexi, a stunning model who's been on the cover of Vogue and dated several famous
Hey, Anthony, you got a
players?
model pregnant?
Well, we live in South America, and my dad made lots of money taking backhanders. Yeah,
Daddy's money,
he was a
bitch.
corrupt politician who was giving government contracts to whoever paid the biggest bribe.
Isn't that
That's why
just
we
the
lived in
government?
an enormous mansion, even though his government salary was less than $50,000 per year. How do I know all this? Well, my dad told me. He even tried to recruit me. He said I'd make lots of money. But I refused and told him that millions of people were living in poverty because of corrupt politics.
Oh, shut the hell up. I know you took the deal.
Of course, he got angry and yelled at me to be
I see that while
grateful
I
for
grab my
everything he bought for me.
Rolls Royce.
I didn't care, though. And the real victim was Lexi anyway.
Jesus.
After she got married to my dad, he treated her horribly. He'd make her dress in revealing maid costumes and ordered her to cook for him or clean the living room while he watched.
And now I'm the bad guy.
Okay, maybe you think Lexi
Okay,
deserved
what?
it. I mean, she only married Dad for his money, but she always seemed so sad. One day, I found Lexi crying. I asked what was wrong.
Uh-oh,
And
here
she
we
told
go.
me my dad had
I like where this is
screamed
going.
at her for hours and said he'd kick her out if she annoyed him again. I said I was sorry for how my dad was treating her, but suddenly she pushed me back, straddled me, and started kissing me all over. She
The
whispered, "Show me how a real man treats a woman."
Yo, Anthony.
Do you want Chick-fil-A?
Only 18. Having a gorgeous model come on to me was the best thing that had ever happened to me.
I'm sorry.
As we were making out, I heard my dad walking towards the room. Lexi laughed and told me I had lipstick all over my face. I panicked and jumped behind the couch to hide. Dad came in and sat next to Lexi, saying, "I've got a business trip this weekend. There'll be plenty of security guards around to keep an eye on you, and they'll notify me if you try to go anywhere. I recommend you don't make another mistake. Now give me a kiss." Ugh, I wanted to throw up. Was my dad kissing the same woman I'd made out with 2 minutes earlier? Gross. But
His
after he
face.
left, Lexi and I started kissing again.
I thought it was gross. What happened, Anthony?
Shit, she was nice with it. What can
Never
I
even
say?
held a girl's hand before, and now I was making out with a
Wait,
supermodel.
you're 18, homie.
You'd have
You've
done
never
the
held a
same
girl's
if you
hand?
were me. Of course,
I
if
like
my
to keep
dad
myself
found out,
till married.
he would kill us. But I couldn't keep my hands off Lexi.
Yeah.
Our affair went on for months. Whenever Dad went out, Lexi and I hooked up. Even though she was older than me, we fell in love. I gave her the kindness and affection my dad wouldn't. But then, Lexi fell pregnant. There was no doubt I was the father because it happened during one of my dad's business trips. Of course, we didn't
I'm
tell my
sorry.
dad. He thought the baby was his. But after my daughter, Haley, was born, my dad became even more of an ass. He told Lexi she was fat and threatened to give Haley away if she continued screaming, even though she was just a baby. Lexi and I thought about running away, but we didn't have the money. And my dad would have found us anyway. The only way we'd be free was if my dad died or went to jail. So, I came up with a plan.
What an asshole. I mean, well, I'm such a dick.
Helping with his business deals. He was so happy. He said he'd never been prouder of me. Over the next few weeks, I went with him on business meetings with various companies. It was shocking how open they were about bribing my dad and how much money they were going to make. They wouldn't have been so open if they'd known that I'd planted hidden microphones in Dad's
Okay,
office.
homie, you're not Mission
I was
Impossible,
recording
right? You're
every
not
word
Jason
they
Bourne.
said.
No, yeah.
After a few months, I had enough evidence to send my dad to prison for the rest of his life.
But
But I had an even better idea. I decided to blackmail him. That was the hardest conversation of my life. I'll never forget my dad's face when I told him, "She's not your child." He said, "What?" I said, "Haley, she's not yours. I got Lexi pregnant while you were away on a business trip." My dad laughed. "That's the best joke I've heard in a while." But I just glared at him and said, "Haley's mine. Lexi and I are leaving today and taking her with us. We won't let our daughter grow up around a monster." That's when Dad realized I was telling the truth. He shoved me up against the wall.
damn me up, Dad.
"You think you can sleep with my wife and I'll just let you go?" I pushed him back and said, You treat your wife and my daughter like servants, and we're not putting up with it. I've got hours of recordings which prove you've been taking bribes. If something should happen to me or my family, one of my friends will send them to every single journalist in this country, as well as the cops, and you'll go to prison for the rest of your life.
Well, I mean, actually, you just go to prison for about 20 years.
He punched a hole into the wall, but he knew he couldn't touch me. An hour later, Lexi, Haley, and I left my dad's house. We took his favorite car and $50,000 and moved into a hotel.
Did he just say 50?
Homie, 50 grand? It's enough for like a year.
And she hated the cheap hotel we stayed in. After just 3 months, she'd spent all our money.
What?
She told me she couldn't survive like this and said she'd find someone else if I couldn't give her everything she wanted. But how was I supposed to do that? I didn't have a job. I was barely out of high school. So I went back to my dad and demanded $5 million. I knew he could afford it. He laughed in my face and said, "Oh, I knew you were just like me. Didn't you say you wanted to earn your money legally?" He was right. Maybe I wasn't any better than him, but I didn't care. I couldn't lose Lexi. I said, "I know you have the money. Give it to me." My dad replied, "I'll give it to you tomorrow at noon, but you'll have to promise me you'll never ask for money again." I said, "Deal. I promise." Wow, it had actually worked. Dad gave me the money, and I could buy everything Lexi wanted again. We moved to a better hotel, and we were happy for a while. But over the next few months, I began to see why Lexi had married my dad. She was incredibly shallow and only cared about money.
What?
And she refused to act like a proper mom. One day, we had a big fight. I told her she was dressing like a tramp, and I didn't want her going out with Haley looking like that. She got really offended and said, "Do you think it's fun staying in all the time with a little boy like you?" That night, I slept on the couch. When I woke up, the safe where we kept our money was gone, and so was Lexi. I was left with Haley, but no money to take care of her. I had no choice but to go back to my dad to get more money. But when I went to see him, he said, "You promised not to ask for more money." I said, "I don't care. Lexi stole everything from me. Just give me $1 million.
Oh my
That'll be
God.
enough for me. This really is the last time I'll ask you for anything." He warned, "This will have consequences." I didn't know what he meant, and I didn't care. He gave me the money, and I drove back to the hotel Haley and I lived in. But a few days later, when I went to Haley's kindergarten to pick her up, they told me her mom and grandfather had picked her up already. My blood ran cold. A few minutes later, my cell beeped with a text from my dad. It read, "Come to my house. We need to talk." I didn't want to go, but I had to make sure Haley was safe.
What the
When I
f
arrived,
is going
Dad
on
was
right now?
holding my daughter in his
I'm
lap.
so confused.
She was sleeping and well. He said, "So, my son, the tables have turned. I won't play your games anymore. Your daughter and Lexi will live far away from you. They'll be safe as long as you don't publish any of the recordings." I begged and pleaded. "Don't take my daughter. I want to live with her. I'll give you back the $1 million if you'll just let me be with her." But my dad said, "You're lucky she's still alive. And since I'm feeling generous, I'll let you see your daughter once a year." I looked at my sleeping child. She was so beautiful.
Going on?
I don't know, but like, this sounds like an anime.
Yeah, this is a huge Jason Bourne anime movie.
I went back to my hotel. I realized I had $1 million and almost every freedom in the world. Life wasn't too bad, even though I missed Haley like crazy. That's why, over the next few months, I apologized over and over to my dad, hoping he'd change his mind. But he wouldn't. Since I didn't see Haley very often, she barely knew who I was when I visited her once a year. I took lots of photos of her while we were together, but she always looked sad and never called me dad. Seeing her like that broke my heart. She deserved better. I was desperate to do something.
This story is confusing.
But since I couldn't use the recordings I had, I didn't know what. The more I thought about it, the only solution I could think of was if my dad died. Now,
Okay.
I'm not saying I planned his death.
Okay. Yo, what are these stories coming to? Anthony, what's your life
Wait, how
story
did he
about?
die? The f?
Guys who'd been in the army. I wouldn't stand a chance against them.
Yeah?
But one day, my dad was assassinated. A Of course, it had nothing to do with me, but it solved all my problems.
It had nothing to do with me.
All my dad's money. The only one who was left with nothing was Lexi. She came to see me and begged me to give her some money. I asked her, why should I give money to someone who stole from me? She replied, because your dad took all my money away from me, and I'm the mother of your child.
Ooh.
I agreed I'd pay her a small allowance as long as Haley lived with me. I hate giving money to a selfish woman
Nice
like
flex.
her.
Nice
At
flex.
least I have my daughter back. And that's all that matters to me.
Alright, nice flex.
What
Okay.
what the heck was going on? I'm so confused. Dude, what are these stories coming? Anthony, your life story is a little weird, bro.
It's weird. It only happens in one day too.
What? What? It happens in one. So this was a full 24 hours only?
Yeah, that was weird.
If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe. Would you ever...
Yeah, I plead the fifth. Did I kill my? No. I didn't.
I didn't kill my dad. It just had nothing to do with me, but it solved all of my problems.
Yeah, it was Richie. The
What
weird.
the f? Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe and like the video. We'll see you guys in another video. Peace out.
Oh yeah, she was.
What
I did what?
Bye. What the f?